chat up on here. Right, I think we're live now. But today we are joined by Ben from Worcester Terrariums. I think I always say that wrong. Worcester Terrariums. Well, yeah, how are things going? How's your day been? You said it's been crazy. So, I mean, it's up to you. You can tell us how your day's gone, but just let us know what you've been up to.
So yeah, because it's been a crazy day. I'm preparing for Chelsea, and yeah, I had about 50 terrariums to make. I've got another sort of 12 to go, and then I've had sort of numerous meetings, and it's just been a crazy day. So apologies, I'm a little bit late.
No, don't apologise, man. Honestly, I mean, to be fair, I'm sat here on time. I'm normally running a little bit late myself, so never apologise. Honestly, it's all good. But 50 terrariums in one day.
Oh no, it wasn't in one day, but I've sort of like.
Oh, I was going to say.
Some of the bigger ones I wanted to get done. I mean, it's just under 2 weeks now until the actual show, and everything's got to be right. So yeah.
Yeah. No, fair enough. To be fair, it's like a similar thing in a sense with Ancon. So with me going down to Ancon, I'm bringing a lot of the stuff for these scape offs. So trying to get everything ready before that, and I've never done anything like that before, so I'm pretty nervous, and I have to do a speech, and I know I'll be sweating buckets when I'm doing it as well. But yeah, I'm excited though, more than anything. But yeah. Obviously, I've got a list of questions here that I've a few I've wrote myself, and like as I mentioned, some that people have asked. But obviously, we're in the ant community, so there will be a few things that I'm asking you in relation to the best soil, or what you think would be the best soils for keeping ants in. Not just necessarily that, any form of inverts or whatever it is. But the first thing is, what actually got you into the hobby of building terrariums?
So it's kind of a long story. I used to work in a primary school. I started there in 2013. And I was put in charge of the composting system of the reception class that I was working in. So these kids were like 4 or 5 years old. So myself and a group of children were in charge of the compost, and I got really, really interested in that process. So prior to this, I'd been kind of interested in plants, but not that much. But yeah, so I got heavily invested in composting, a lot more so than the kids did. And yeah, from there, I discovered vegetable gardening. I took on an allotment which was right next to the school I was working at, and I spent 4 years on there, making it my goal to grow as many unusual vegetables and fruits as possible. So I suppose that's where I really got the bulk of my horticultural education. At some point along the line, I discovered bonsai, and I got, again, heavily invested in this. I spent some time studying with Peter Chan and Harry Harrington, who are quite, they're some of the leading figures in bonsai.
Yeah.
And I don't actually know how I discovered the terrarium, but it was maybe online or something. I'd seen a photo, and obviously that sort of piqued my interest. But I can't really pinpoint the exact time. But yeah, and that's something I just really stuck with. I still do the others from time to time, but with terrariums, it's yeah, there was something about that I found truly interesting, and here I am today.
Yeah, no, that's really cool story. Even though it's as long as it is, but it's good because I find it quite fast. Kind of like myself. When I was younger, my father bought me. It was actually an aquarium, but he bought it for me and my sister. He was, you can like do this. It was for Christmas, yeah. So it was like, you can do it together type of thing. And I kind of just like instantly got hooked, and my sister just wasn't interested at all. She's actually with us here in the live chat today. But yeah.
Well, I think I've lost you. Can you hear me? I'm not sure if you can still hear me, but I've lost you. I can't hear anything.
Right, okay. So I'm back. What I've decided to do is go to my 4G because it's more reliable than my Wi-Fi. So literally 4G. But anyway, yeah. So I ended up getting hooked. My sister, however, she's just like not interested at all. But she's in the chat with us today. So yeah, honestly, it was like that's how it started for me. And then I started watching how to build terrarium videos on YouTube. I can't even remember how I kind of stumbled across it. I think it was probably like Serpa Design or someone, you know, iconic in that area. But no, that's kind of how it started for me. But also my father, he's very, very into it as well. And he was always wanting us to kind of get into like nature and that side of things, which it really sort of took off for me. In terms of when you're making terrariums and building them, then I guess you say, you know, you find it really fascinating with, you know, within the creation. Is it more like the final result of the build, or is it? I mean, for me, I always tend to like it to see like it develop over time. That's more what I really find fascinating, kind of how it establishes. But what is it for you that, you know, you really like about it anyway?
I think for me, it's about giving plants, well, these tropical plants, a happy home to live in. It's also about growing moss. You know, you can't grow moss in any other in any other way. So, you know, those are the two things that really that's what I love about terrarium building. But yeah, I kind of, you know, with today's world, people have to make things that look nice to go on Instagram and TikTok or whatever. And I think there's someone, an account I follow called In Search of Small Things, and something she said really stuck with me was, when you make a terrarium, you should always be thinking 6 months in advance. You know, it's not about making something immediately beautiful. And it's kind of difficult because, as I said, with social media and whatnot, if you upload a picture of an ugly terrarium, no one's going to follow you or like it or whatever. But I think it's important to keep that in your mind. So yeah, I agree with you. It's about watching these terrariums develop over time.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's always been it for me. Even sometimes you kind of expect it to grow a certain way, but then kind of nature takes its own course, and you're like, oh, okay, it's something completely different. Or sometimes it can kind of blow your mind in how well it's developed. But that's, you know, I guess you learn from your mistakes. So, but the other question as well is, obviously I've asked you, you know, what got you into the hobby of building terrariums, but it was, I guess, what inspired you back then and what inspires you now? Do you think your perspective has changed slightly?
So, you know, a few people have asked me this question about what inspires me, and it's never really horticulturally based. I mean, I have interest in horticulture, but I didn't really come from a horticultural background. What inspired me back then, I think, was just the aesthetic of a terrarium. I found it fascinating that within this glass container, an ecosystem was created and these plants were growing in it. That, on just the most basic level, I found that interesting. What fascinates me now, well, nothing's really changed, I suppose, but I find myself like, I mean, I tend to get motivation and inspiration from other sources. You know, I'm really interested in music and exercising and just living a healthy life. And I find the more I do that, the more the more readily available I am to my business and my work. So I think it's just about, just living a healthy life. I mean, what I'm doing is now no longer a hobby. It's a business. And I think it's important to remember that. So yeah, it's about sort of like keeping this going. How can it grow? And it's just, these things really interest me. And I think if I just treated it as a hobby, perhaps I wouldn't be as invested in it as I am now. But yeah, it's just all those things I just mentioned. Just that's kind of where I'm at with it at the moment.
Yeah, no, I think that's important. And like I say, now that you're more of a business side of it, I guess that's probably the best thing that could have happened, really. You know, I'm guessing, you know, you're not waking up every day thinking, oh, I have to go to work. You know, you probably wake up every day with a great smile on your face, knowing that you're doing something that you love doing. So
yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm still at the stage where I'm splitting this. So this is like, I suppose it's still a side business, but as it's growing so quickly, the day's gonna come where I drop my day job. But that's kind of, I'm doing 2 full-time jobs at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. We've got actually someone in here, Ants England. She's saying, is anyone else dying to know what weird or unique veggies he used to grow? So would you be able to sort of touch up on that?
Yeah. So I really enjoy cooking. That's something probably above everything else. I love cooking and eating. So it's like something like Sichuan pepper. I grew that, and I still have that tree, which is now in my girlfriend's back garden because I don't have the allotment anymore. I took out the valuable trees and stuff I had and put them in her garden, and she wasn't very happy about that. But yeah, so yeah, I have the Sichuan pepper. There's a really cool South American tuber called oca, which you can eat raw. It looks like a gnarled little potato. It kind of tastes like a cross between an apple and a potato, and it's really nice.
Okay.
Yeah, so mulberry, I bought a mulberry tree. Now they take 10 years to fruit. This is now in its 8th year, and don't be mistaken, it's not like a big tree. I have to keep this small because, again, this is in my girlfriend's garden. So yeah, mulberries, yet to have any fruit off that though. And yeah, I mean, if you look at the James Wong Sutton Seed collection, I've grown pretty much everything off of that.
Yeah, yeah. We've got someone there saying apple potato, apple tato. But I also just want to quickly say hello to some people in chat. I haven't really had a chance to. So hello, Dan Booth. Hello, my sister, 8 Legs, 4 Wheels, Phil, Callum, Sadie, Auntie Ramblings, all the people in the chat. If I've missed you, I do apologise. Diana and Katie as well. Katie has good knowledge in it. So, you know, when you mentioned that, she knew who you were on about anyway. So that's good to see that. I didn't have any idea. So it's good to see that other people here do know. So, but, and what do you have planned in future for, you know, your YouTube? If you got, you know, are you just trying to do them videos every single week now? Or do you have anything bigger planned? Have you ever considered building something like a vivarium, you know, for maybe like geckos or whatever you know, decide to keep? Have you ever thought about something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of YouTube, I'm just trying to stay as consistent as possible on there. It's obviously it's difficult. Making videos is not an easy thing to do, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just trying to stay as consistent as possible, aiming for like at least a video a week. And that's kind of where I'm at with that. Sorry, what was the other question you asked me?
It was, sorry, I've got these right on my phone. Hold up. It was
oh, about the vivarium. Sorry.
Anything you've got planned for your socials, really, yeah. Or vivariums, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not an expert when it comes to this microfauna, or I've only ever kept a reptile once, and that was when my sister went to uni and left it with us. So I'm not experienced with that, but it is a side of things I'm becoming more interested in, especially the microfauna. You know, I'm close friends with Adam from Micro Exotics, and they've been kind enough to send me stuff over. And that really, I mean, I started off like as a terrarium page, but now I would say the bulk of the people who follow me came in on the back of this, watching the microfauna eat cucumber and peach or whatnot. So I have more plans to do content like that. It's just, I suppose, again, like not being an expert in this, it's finding creatures that work in, you know, terrariums like this, like you see behind me, because it's there's not a lot. You couldn't stick a frog in there because it needs to be a more controlled environment. And also, I'm kind of open about this now, but I'm weirdly phobic of frogs, so I don't want any dart frogs in my house.
So you would like to keep them, but you're scared of like holding them or something like that, yeah?
Honestly, it's a deep-rooted phobia. I know some people are like highly phobic of spiders. So for me, it's frogs, but specifically British garden frogs. I can't deal with those. Like reptiles, not a problem. I'd love to keep some reptiles in some vivariums.
Yeah. So if you were walking down the footpath and there's a frog in the middle of the footpath, would you actively go around the frog and avoid it?
I would actively move very quickly out of the way of that frog. I took a job as a gardener after school, and I was so hyped about this job. You know, that they'd really sold it to me, and I was so excited. And when I got there, I was like working in the most densely populated area of frogs on the planet. There were so many frogs on this woodland garden. I just spent 6 months in total anxiety, and then sort of moved on after that. So yeah,
Yeah, well, hopefully, it kind of, as bad as it is, hopefully it helped your fear a little bit. But actually there as well, Katie's saying that there's they currently have a project going where they map all of the mulberry trees in the UK. So that's pretty cool. Also, people are asking about your ants as well. So how are your ants actually going? If you're enjoying keeping ants?
Yeah, so again, I don't know anything about ants at all. I didn't even know you could keep them in an enclosure like this. They seem to be doing okay. I mean, I sort of followed the instructions that were given to me, and it's been less than a week since I've made this, but they seem to be happy enough. They didn't die, which was like obviously the most important thing. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how they do. I'm doing more research as I can. As I go along, sorry. So I'm totally new to this, and yeah, I'm sure I could pick your brain about this. I'd like to, if this works out, I'd like to create some more enclosures for them, document the process. Because yeah, I think while people are interested in terrariums, it seems people are also super interested in these microfauna because yeah, it's just fascinating to watch them go about their lives.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I mean, when I first watched, I think it was on Instagram on a reel with the I think it's got like an insane amount of views, but it was the one where you sliced cucumber up and put some powder on it. Like I think that was like one of the first ones I've seen, and I was just like, that's so cool, because I'd never seen dragon millipedes before, and I was like, the hell are they? I'm like screenshotting it, finding loads of apps to try and help me identify them, and I'm like, where can I get these? But I didn't realize that it was with Micro Exotics, because I'd previously ordered from him before and did like an unboxing video and stuff on my channel. But no, Adam's great, and there was a lot of people in chat there actually. We've got incredible inverts and other animals saying how good it is. But yeah, I mean, while we're here as well, would my mods be able to drop in Ben's channel just into the chat, so anyone there can actually go over and follow him if you aren't yet following him? I'm pretty sure a few people may have already followed you, but if you're not, then please can you drop that in? Normally, Happy Ant UK always gets slumbered with this job. Or Sadie's normally quite good at getting these in as well. So if you guys can, but yeah, no, that's great. And I've noticed when you're making mixes for terrariums, you always keep it. It's quite simple. You keep it quite simple, but I've noticed the main thing you include in almost all of them is, the black gold, your worm castings. Is there a main reason behind that, or is it more for the organics for the microfauna, or is it just because you found moss grows in that best?
So to be honest, it's mainly because when I first started out, there's a lot of sayings in the terrarium hobby, a lot of cliches I hear, and one of them was you should use fertilizer-free soil. So my mix that I was using initially was based on coir, lava rock, and sphagnum moss. And initially everything was fine, but then I'd always notice a few months down the line the plants would become unhealthy, obviously because there's no nutrition in that mix. So then I started adding the worm castings, and everything was just so much healthier, like 100 times healthier. Now, the reason why people say you should use fertilizer-free soil is so that plants grow slowly. Now, I don't really understand the logic here, because for me, I'd much rather have faster growing healthy plants than slower growing unhealthy ones, because with a terrarium, you just prune the plants inside. So yeah, that's why I use the worm castings. I do try to keep the soil mix simple, because buying akadama, molar clay, lava rock, orchid bark, sphagnum moss, worm castings, 7 different things, and I want to make this accessible to people, so I really boiled it down to 3 main components now, which is coir, molar clay, and the worm castings, because you can make a perfectly good terrarium soil with those 3 things.
No, I noticed that, to be honest. I was like, he's keeping this so simple, because when I'm if I'm doing research behind like a species to keep, how they are in their natural environment, I'm like, right, well, I'll need probably about this many parts and that many parts, and then I watched it, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That's so simple. I'm like, I always overcomplicate. So yeah, I've learned a lot from from your channel and the how-to videos. The only thing that I remember, there was one point which was about the drainage layer, when you don't like water sat in the drainage layer. I normally always have a little bit of water sat in my drainage layer at first because I found the moss was a little bit better.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay. So I've started to try it without doing that. I mean, just keep it nice and humid inside. But
I think,
I made a couple the other day.
I think a lot about this hobby is just sort of finding out what works for you. You know, I know people who use drainage layers. I know people who like let water sit in the bottom and they have no issues. I think just from my, like, I'm just trying to sort of show people how I approach things. So, so yeah, but I absolutely think, you know, just trying things out, trying things your own way is probably the most important thing you can do.
No, definitely. Because, I mean, there's been times I've tried certain things, whether I've built mini sort of bog systems in kind of like enclosed jars where it has a filter kind of cascading the water back down. And then I remember one time I put in sand, but then the sand was getting sucked up through the mesh barrier. So I was like, I need larger gravel. So then, you know, and then it just then I had to start the whole thing again. And obviously that took like 2 or 3 days of like silicon sealing and cutting each bit like to make this shape to get it going. And I was like, I was gutted. So I think that's, I think you're right. It's important to just try things differently. Yeah. And you do find out yourself what works best. And I think that comes with time and experience as well. I mean, I'm still fairly new to all in terms of like terrariums and vivariums, you know, over a year and a half or something. But aquascaping, I was doing that since I was like 15 year old. So that's kind of what started me into the hobby. And then I got my first how to keep plants, tropical plants book. And then it was going into like macro elements, micro elements. I'm like, what is all of this? But then I was just like, I just absorbed into this like world of, I don't know. I just felt like when you're there looking at your tank, you just switch off. It's like in my animal room. If I'm in here, you know, everything just time goes without even realizing that, you know, it's been an hour and a half and I've only really done one thing. I'm like, okay, I need to carry on what I'm doing. But have you got any terrariums behind you in your studio present now that I guess you would class as your most favourite terrarium, or would you be able to show us it if it's to hand?
Yeah, so it's got to be this one, which is this is the, you're going to see the reflection of the screen, but this is the one where the bugs, you can actually, oops, hang on, let me take the lid off, it's going to slide and get the computer otherwise. So this is the terrarium that went viral. It's got lots of, you can probably see the snails and the millipede eating the mango.
Yeah.
It stinks of mango. So let me move it there.
Those the Oxychillis, aren't they? Oxychillis, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, that's it, Aliarius. And they sort of appeared totally by accident. I put everything else I put in there on purpose, but they came in by accident. So yeah, they're incredible. They don't really eat the plants in there. And you know, I put the food in, they eat it, they just seem happy, and they've multiplied like nobody's business. There are hundreds in there now. Yeah.
Well, I think someone was saying that like snail or slug eggs, they can stay dormant for quite a bit, and then they can kind of come back to life as well. So that's happened to me a few times where I've put or built something, and I'm like, where did that even come from? And it's because I've maybe took some moss from outside and put it in, or whatever it is. But no, I always find that like also super interesting to see what extra things you know the terrarium ends up having when you add these things inside them. But
yeah, but yeah, that one's my favorite one, I think.
Is it? Okay. And if you, how many I mean, that's a big rack you've got behind you. How many terrariums do you actually have in total? Not just big ones, but even the smaller ones. I see like the glass orb ones behind you. But if you could, I guess, pluck a number out of the air.
I would say there's probably about 80 here at the moment.
80.
They're not all in like the best of health. Sometimes, you know, some of them go over and I haven't got around to them yet, but there's about 80 here at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We also have, so I just quickly wanted to double check, making sure I'm answering all the questions as well. Diana is saying, did you ever get your orange springtails? Yes. I haven't got them yet, but I have ordered them from Adam. So also Sam O'Reilly saying that he watches both of our videos and it's made him want to start a terrarium, and tomorrow he picks his first tank up. Oh, congratulations, Sam. That's great. I always like it when people say things like that as well. It makes me feel like I'm doing something right and kind of, I guess, inspiring people to do that. Sadie's also asking, and England, what's the oldest one you've kept? Have you got that to hand as well, or?
I don't have it to hand because it's in the other room, but it's nearing 2 years old. I mean, a lot of the early ones I made didn't make it, you know, just because you're learning during that period. But yeah, I think I've got some nearing like 2 years old, but that's about it really. I'm just having a look to see if I can see any. Yes, there are none of the old ones to hand, but 2 years old, give or take.
Yeah. Okay. Katie's also saying, where do you get all these enormous bowls with lids? I think you make the lids, don't you? But you buy the bowls separately. Is that right?
Yeah. So the bowls come from my florist, and the lids I get made by a company called Simply Plastics.
Ah, okay. So then, what do you just then drill your own hole into it? And
so they just come as clear discs, and if like with the microfauna terrariums, I put holes in the lid just for air.
Yeah. Elijah's saying he's really looking forward to the escape of Ancon as well. So me too. I'm very nervous though, but I'm looking forward. I am really looking forward. I've also got my own little question. This is kind of about recycling. Now, if I ever have a Yankee Candle or a coffee jar, or I eat a big yogurt pot, which is a glass pot or something from like, you know, Aldi or whatever, I always keep them and use them for terrariums. Is there anything that you've used that you know, similar to that, which, you know, anyone could use and then keep and start making these, you know, I guess, for free on their own?
So, like you said, the Yankee Candle pot's a particularly nice one. The Dow Egbert's coffee. I mean, I don't like the coffee, but you know, sometimes I bought the coffee in the jar. So I don't know. Anybody who does Chinese cooking, you have the Shaoxing rice wine bottles, which are really good. Yeah. So. Yeah, that's like a vertical terrarium I made with the rice wine bottle, and I think that's like a particularly nice one to use.
Great. And that must have took you some time getting all that. Stuck to it. Gosh,
it's just getting the moss in. The moss probably about 15 minutes or so. It's not too bad. You just need long tweezers and chop. So yeah, to be honest, I just keep my eye out whenever I'm in the shop. I think once you get hooked on terrariums, that's something you're absolutely doing. Excuse me.
Yeah.
You'll keep an eye out for glassware wherever you are.
Yeah, I think it's like a lot of people in the ant community as well. We for a lot of people, during nuptials, we always keep test tubes with us just in case you're out and about and then you see a queen. You can then quickly just tube her up and then you can take her home. But for me, it's also I'll normally keep like the slush puppy cups. I keep those in case I see anything while I'm out and about. And then I can, or if it's like some moss that I think that looks nice, I'll just take a little bit and put it inside, and then I can go and propagate it. But some things like that I do myself sometimes. Well, most of it's from a garden. But anyway, or my father, he's got a pond in his garden, so he gets loads of moss growing around that pond, like insane amounts. So I'm always like, right, I'm coming around to take some more moss. Is that all right? Or from what I'm propagating, but so the flower show now, obviously it's a big event. So what's the display that you're doing for it? If you've done something different that no one's really done before, or is it what were you actually doing there? Because I know you said you have the set up display.
So it's I'm helping someone on their display. So it's Sarah, who is the plant rescuer on Instagram, and Mark, who is Happy House Plants on Instagram. It's their display, and I'm just sort of like helping out. My terrariums are being displayed there. So yeah, and it's all centered around like being a plant spa. So just making plants as healthy as they can be. And that's kind of where my terrariums fit in, because my sort of approach to terrarium building is, taking these plants that aren't going to be particularly happy in a British living room and then putting them in something which is a little bit closer to their natural environment. So yeah, it's the plant spa. It's really exciting. I'm very lucky to be involved with the project. I'm going to be in London for 2 weeks for the whole thing. So yeah, if you're there or you're going to Chelsea, feel free to come by and say hello.
No, to be honest, I mean, I would love to. Obviously, at the same weekend, I'm at AntCon, so I think, yeah, so AntCon on the Friday, it's like a 6-hour drive, so I'm going the day before, staying overnight, and then AntCon on the Saturday, staying overnight again, and then head home on the Sunday. But on the way home, I'm going to the British Tarantula Show
Nice.
on the Sunday, because that's kind of on the way home. So I'll see quite a lot of people who are also in, like Phil. I think Phil's going, Scott's Inverts, he's also going. So there's quite a few people I'll be able to see who you don't really get much chance to see or talk to actually in person, because everyone always lives down south for me. So being a northern lad, but yeah, no, I'm glad that I get to see everyone, because like I said, I normally would never. I saw them at the Barnsley show, Invert show, and that was great to see people. So but no, I mean, have you sorry, I'm just going to grab the other question. Yeah, this was over your. This one was just about the business, which you kind of touched up on as well a little bit. But how long have you actually had your business up and running for?
So since September 2019, so about 6 months before the world went into madness.
Oh gosh, I bet that was. So I'm guessing you have like a plot for it, like a independent shop, like a studio.
I have a studio, a workshop, which is in my home. So I do everything out of here. And yeah, I mean, actually, COVID was one of the best things to happen to me, because it made me realize that I really wanted to go down the content creation route. I wanted to sort of build things that way, and yeah, and things have gone pretty well in that regard.
Yeah. People are correcting me here. British Tarantula Society, not sure. You can tell I don't keep any tarantulas. I'm also slightly scared of them. But yeah, Dan Booth, I work with him, so he's always trying to come in my chats and give me jip, because we laugh about it at work. I think there was one time he came and he was saying other random things, because I have this thing when I say peace and love, I'm out, and I'll hit the camera, and he kept saying I was going around hitting all the cameras at work. He just always comes in and gives me jip. He's great. They put on the largest invertebrate show in the UK. Yeah, so the other one was awesome, but I am really looking forward to going to this one, because there'll be a few millipedes I'll be getting, and I really can't wait, honestly. And it'll be a nice little break to see everyone. I've been talking with the people in the chat for like a year and a half. You're talking, a year and a half, and most of them I talked to more than even some friends I know in real life, we'll say. So it's finally good. It's going to be good to finally meet people. But are you going to be filming all of the footage from the flower show for your channel, or are you going to?
I thought I might do like, I'm at Chelsea. This is what I'm doing. Sort of showing people what's up. It would be an opportunity missed if I didn't, film something for my channel, and certainly on social media, on Instagram and TikTok too.
Yeah. And again, back onto the terrariums, do you have a shop that you would suggest people go to, that anyone could have access to in the UK? I mean, for me, I always suggest B&M's, just because they've normally got good size glass vases and things for people to build terrariums in, because most people as well would like or would keep them in things like that, or like what you've built for the Temnothorax. So is there any way you suggest to go for these things?
Yeah, so HomeSense is great. They have an ever-changing stock list. Hobbycraft is a good store, which is where I got the glassware for the ants that were given to me. In terms of getting glassware. Simply Plastics if you want to get a lid. Also, if you're looking for terrarium like components, Grow Tropicals is an amazing shop. Highly recommend them. Obviously, Microfauna with Micro Exotics. I'm probably going to miss one and might get told off by somebody for missing their business, but off the top of my head, I can think of. But yeah, apologies if I've missed your business. And
No, that's fine. I think most people here have probably heard of the Micro Exotics. I know a lot of people do buy things from him. He's great as well. Such a lovely guy. It was kind of when I actually first created my store. I actually messaged him privately, because I'd previously bought things from him, and I was always kind of wanting to do this. Do you mind if I open a store? And he was like, dude, like, you'd never really have to ask me that. You know, he was like, if anyone's trying to kind of get out the you know, the mundane day job, you know, hats off to you type of thing. So I was like, this guy's awesome. You know, because that was one thing for me, because I was always worried about that, because I really liked him. So and he was like, no, you know, go ahead. It's, you know, it's kind of go and do your thing, really. So he is great, Adam, really is. I'm going to have a quick look at the chat as well, make sure I'm answering all the questions, because if I don't, the chat will get too far down. So
sure thing.
Make sure. Callum, you are taking forever to eat, though, by the way. I hope you finished now. Obviously got to that question, saying they're excited for the escape off. Callum slagging my star off. Oh, yeah, so I sent you those things today as well, though.
Oh, nice.
Bioactive soil. So hopefully you like it. You like it anyway.
Awesome. Look forward to that. Thank you.
No, honestly, it's a pleasure, mate. It's a pleasure. I want one of these, you know, reels you make to just I really like them, honestly. I was super excited. So I don't think anyone's asked many more questions. Oh, yeah, so Elijah's asking, what's your newest build? So whether you've got that to hand or not, but if you got, what's the most recent build you've got?
Okay, so it doesn't look like much, but at the moment I made that just before my Zoom call. So that is, I'm going to put the TikTok out and the reel out a bit later today or maybe tomorrow, and it's just showing you how you can use aquatic moss in a terrarium. Yeah, so that's the one I made most recently, which was a few hours ago, and it is just moss.
Ah, okay. Sadie's asking about lighting as well. So obviously I see you've got individual LEDs for each one. What lumens do they kick out? Is there a specific amount you think you would need?
You know, I don't really know the sort of ins and outs of this, but I know that they emit around about 150 foot candles of light. Obviously depending on the distance away, but yeah, around about 150 foot candles. If you double up, you're looking at about sort of 3 to 350. Now I found that the sweet spot is between sort of 100 and 400. Depends what you're growing, of course, but like as a general rule for terrariums, no lower than 100 foot candles. And it's important to measure light, because it's the only way you will truly know if your terrariums are getting a good amount or enough light. Yeah.
So when you say candles, is that what lumens or lux, or let's say?
I only know it's foot candles, but I know there is like if you have a light meter or a light meter app, or if you just go on Google in like foot candles of light, there's a converter.
Yeah, there is. No, you're right. You can get apps on your phone, which is actually really good, to be honest.
Yeah, they give you.
I know Farley uses those. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just saying they give you a good idea. I think sometimes with the phone apps, they're not as accurate as an actual light meter, but they give you a good sort of idea.
Yeah, no, definitely. But we've also got another one, which is, what's the most proud build? I guess that'd be the same as your most favorite build, wouldn't it, really? Or the terrarium you're most proud of?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've got this one's something I really like, because my the garden I used to work at. I mean, you're not going to be able to see this just because. I mean.
Oh no. See it.
Yeah, you can kind of see it. It's just the reflection, but it's got like 10 different kinds of moss in there. They're all collected from a woodland garden, the one I used to work at, and I just really like that particular moss area. It's only got moss in it, and it also has a really interesting species which someone from Korea gave me. It's Pygmy Chameleon, which is Japanese tree moss, and I'm pretty sure that not many people are going to have that in the UK. So, excuse me. So yeah, I'm particularly proud of this moss area, I should say.
Yeah. No, that's great. So, obviously, yeah, but for me, it's mainly at the moment, like vivariums are my kind of what I enjoy building. My next project is going to be for my crested geckos. But have you got a I guess like another project coming up soon, which is quite a big one? Or because I know you've got your flower show, and no doubt you've been building terrariums most days. But if you've got anything coming up, that's quite a big one.
Yeah, so on my sort of hit list of YouTube videos to make, I'm going to turn my IKEA greenhouse cabinet into basically a large tree trunk, and I'm just going to grow epiphytic plants on it. I've already got the big bits.
Ah,
I've already got the cork bark. It's kind of just sort of like a bit of a useless propagation center at the moment. It's not doing so well. So I'm going to turn that into a tree, basically.
yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. I did that. I did a similar thing with a piece of wood in this tank here. That's got all air plants attached. That was for my Chromaticas scutularis colony, because they like to nest in wood. So, I mean, they absolutely love it. But it's all mainly air plants. So yeah, I mean, I really like that, and it kind of goes on to it there, because Katie's just saying, do you ever use air plants?
I have done. It's only on like one or two occasions, and they do really well in terrariums. At least the ones I did did. But it's not something I do that often. I think there's a whole community around air plants, and I just bought a random one from the garden centre, popped it in a terrarium, and it seemed to do really well. I think an account I follow online was Terrarium Pal, and I'd seen that he'd done it. So yeah, I had a go, and I had one successful attempt, but a few others that failed too.
Yeah. Like you say, that's the whole part of it, really. But I did the same thing. I just bought a load of air plants and was like, I'm just going to stick them to this piece of wood and see what happens. A few of them actually ended up flowering as well, which was really nice. But the flowers only last for a couple of days and then they're gone, and it's I haven't seen any since. So, but yeah. So what's your most favorite plant or most used plant in your terrarium builds?
It's a good question, because it's ever changing. But I would say if I could only use one plant, it would be probably Ficus thunbergii, which is oak leaf fig.
Yeah, it is beautiful though. Like it's quite funny, because when I watch Serpa design as well, he's always the same. Like his tanks, he's like oak leaf, creep, and fig. It's in everything. It's like okay.
Really nice plant.
It is beautiful. It really is beautiful. Katie's saying she needs to make something as well that's not too messy, that's not too horribly cutesy. So I don't really know what that's me. I said messy, but it was a similar thing with when I was making my like large ecosphere bottle thing. I just found it really hard, and a lot of the time when you're trying to plant things, you're planting something, then something else comes out because you've got very limited space with your tweezers and things. But I mean, what other tools do you use other than like a set of tweezers? Is there anything else you would suggest?
Long tweezers, long-handled scissors, a chopstick, funnels of differing sizes. But to be honest, I mean, I think the most important things are the tweezers, the scissors, and the chopstick. They're my sort of go-to tools. Paintbrushes are helpful, scoops. But yeah, those three I mentioned are the main ones.
Yeah. To be fair, I've got myself some chopsticks. They are great. I mean, mainly for as well when you're planting seeds, they're just awesome, and they just make everything effortless. And I only recently found out with using chopsticks, because I went around my father's house and he was planting seeds and he's used chopsticks, and I was like, "You're using chopsticks?" And he was like, "Yeah, I've got a spare set if you want them." And I was like, "Yes, please." Like I didn't even realize. So we've also got Elijah saying, "Hey Ryan, how are the rubra doing?" Well, I found out, Elijah, that they're actually Ruganodes. So I had them ID'd, but they're doing awesome. They really are doing great. So Katie's saying, with the air plants, people can make stuff that's just too cute, and she's not into it. But no, that makes sense. But is there anything, I guess, you want to ask me, or is there any questions you've got, or anything you want to tell us that's coming up, or anything like that?
Around the ant care, with the ants that I got, like, how would you, what's the best things I can do for them? How can I care for them in the best way?
Well, just making sure you keep up with proteins and carbohydrates, really. So obviously, they'll no doubt be taking the water source from the humidity of the actual container they're in. Or they'll be taken from the glass, which is great about natural terrariums, because you don't have to have like water feeders in there all the time. But sugar snaps, now Antics, he does great sugar snaps. They last forever as well, because you can dilute them down. So if you're after anything like that, then sugar snaps from him, or there's a few other people like the Ant Lady and other people who do the snaps. There's some Biformica stuff, but then proteins. So if you've got crickets, or if you've got maybe it's like a grow out tub where you have isopods in, you can maybe just feed them a couple of crushed up isopods, anything just to give them that protein side. But yeah, that's it really, because Temnothorax are quite docile species, so they're really good species to start with, and I think they'll keep you on your toes, because they will try and escape, but they're super cute. They're not aggressive like your fire ants would, where they'd be stinging you every time they crawled on your hand. But they're active enough where you can observe them. They are fascinating. That's it really. But yeah, sugar snaps and proteins, definitely.
Cool. I'll do an update video sort of when I get back from Chelsea and see how they're doing.
Yeah, no, you should. And also, you need to make a video on YouTube as well. I'm sure quite a few people in this chat would love to see like a long video, especially because your footage is so good and you're editing. A nice video like that. We have another person who I follow a lot called Ant, and his footage is just awesome. His macro shots, everything, and his editing's unbelievable. So, with you being on par with him, I think everyone would just love to watch that, especially myself anyway. But
yeah, I need to get more ants. But yeah, I'll put that on the list of YouTube content ideas for sure.
Yeah, Sadie's saying Lasius flavus would do great in those or in one of those bowls. They are like a ground dwelling species. They're like kind of orange or bright orangey color.
Okay.
They are awesome. But yeah, you should definitely get something like that, or maybe Sadie will send you some. I don't know.
Drop me that in a message, because I will never remember that name. But yeah, drop me that in a message, and I'll look into that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, yeah, yellow, orange. I always think the larger workers are orange, and then the smaller ones are like yellowy. Cubaris would look awesome in one. Well, that's something I've sent you actually, Ben. So I have sent you some Panda Kings. So hopefully you like those anyway. I'm pretty excited. Like I say, they're all winding me up now, because me and Alex or Ant Holofer have this secret bromance. Everyone always takes the mick out of, but we're meeting each other for the first time at AntCon, so it'll be one of those where we run up to each other and big hugs, no formal handshakes or anything. But yeah, Sadie's saying as well, don't disturb them too much. Yeah, she's right, I forgot to say that. So best thing is to just leave them, keep up feeds every week, but just basically, apologies, just feed them every week and just leave them as much as you don't want to. I mean, for me, I was always super impatient and always trying to keep up and watch them. But yeah, just leave them as much as you can. Phil as well, or if you aren't subscribed to Phil, anyone in chat, make sure you go over and subscribe to Phil, which is Incredible Inverts and Other Animals. But he's now actually bred his rubber duckies, which is awesome. I think you were on a live stream, weren't you, at the time? And you got like super girly excited when they popped up. I think you were looking through your tub at the time. So, has anyone in chat also got any questions as well? Because I'll be honest, I mean, I've kind of run out of all the questions I wrote down. I was kind of just rattling those off there. So if anyone has any other questions for Ben while we have him here, or if there's any knowledge you want to know about him, now is actually the time, because his knowledge is going to be awesome. So these all call me Dirt Nerd, because I'm normally the guy with the knowledge. So when you're here, I'm kind of like, I'll pass that title to you, Dirt Nerd title. Which is good. Ryan and Alex forever. £130. Yeah, they're super expensive. Oh, that's actually asking me to fill that. And they have screamed on that stream. Yeah. So I remember that, Phil. Yeah, you're on there and you just let out like this loudest like scream in the world. This most excited scream I've ever seen. Can't afford duckies. No, me neither. Aris Designs asking what part, if I'm going to say it wrong again, Worcester? Worcester. You're from? Like Worcester sauce. Oh God, I can't believe it's been.
It's like I live close to the Worcester sauce factory. I'm about a 10-minute walk from there.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm like bang in the middle of Worcester, sort of in the town centre. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with Worcester, but it's a nice sort of small city, 105,000 people. So it's kind of like, and it's close to rural areas, so you can go out for nice walks and stuff. So it's a nice city, yeah. But I'm like bang in the middle.
Yeah, yeah. So you say that you do, so you live a healthy life, or you like a healthier lifestyle. You exercise quite regularly, you're saying. So what is it that you do? I mean, are you into any sports?
I used to play a lot of football when I was younger. I play football with guys for my day job. I like to run. That's probably what I enjoy most. I do between sort of 5 to 7K, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And then I try my best to sort of like do some resistance training the other sort of 2 or 3 days. I aim for like 5 days of exercise if possible, but if I hit 3 or 4, then that's great. Obviously, it's hard work with everything else going on.
Yeah, no, I think it's super important. But in terms of eating, then, so are you like, I don't know if this is classed as personal, but are you vegan? Are you or
yeah,
in terms of healthy?
I kind of eat like a balanced diet. I do eat meat, but I do enjoy vegan food too and vegetarian food. I try to sort of like balance it out over the week if possible, but it's also about you know, trying to be cook convenient food, because you know, you don't want to spend all day or all night washing up when you've got videos to make, or you know, when you get back from work trying to cook, or spending a few hours cooking can be tiresome. So you know, just trying to sort of like find a balance between nice healthy food that's easy to cook.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and I know that as well. When I get home, normally about 7:30, sometimes later, the last thing you want to do is start cooking a big meal. So, guilty of, you know, putting in some sort of microwavable something or whatever it is, just to kind of sustain myself and keep going. But I do need to start eating healthier. Most definitely. Blue death beetles. So I'm just trying to keep up with the chat here as well. Yeah, so Micro Exotics has the white sharks as well, which are really, really cool. And Phil, he's got these blue death beetles, which are also super awesome. But I don't know if you've seen Phil's channel, but he's a zookeeper. But he you know, he builds some stunning setups. But not just that. I mean, if there's knowledge about inverts, anything you want to know, he will know it. And you know, I pester him quite a lot myself. If there's anything you ever want to find out, pester him, because he's the guy to go to. He's a go-to guy. So
his handles in a message as well. Like after they send me a message with all the people I should follow and accounts I should check out.
Yeah, no, I will definitely. I definitely will. So I'm going to OBT on Friday. Yeah, I think. Let's do all these. Diane is saying I'm called Earthquake Ryan. She is right, because I normally keep my phone on this arm it's on now. So if I ever move, it just starts to shake, and obviously I just then, yeah, they all call me Earthquake Ryan. I got that before I got the nerd. So Phil is a Gandalf of invertebrates. He is Gandalf of invertebrates, literally. But has anyone else got any more questions? Like I say, I think we're running low on questions here. So if anyone's got anything you want to ask while he's here, that would be awesome. I'll probably either way myself. I normally have to dash around 10 o'clock just for my daughter. All right, we can see it. What do you mean, the earthquake thing? What you mean? I don't think I've got any other questions yet. But while we're here, what I'll do is I'll switch over to my other device, because I was wanting to kind of update a few other people in the chat with some of my builds. The one behind me is my River Creek, which is for my dart frogs, but I've got them out in a breeder's tub at the moment because I had them from tadpoles. So I've bred them on now. They've just lost the tails. I know you won't see any frogs, don't worry, so you don't have to you don't have to hide. But yeah, I'll quickly update that, because or a few builds that I've got here. I just asked who had rain. Right, okay, I see. But we'll take this off just for a moment off the arm. So I'm wanting to update this one. So I have to quickly switch my camera for you guys. There we go. And back camera. Right, so I kind of wanted to show you a few of these while I was here. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at them, but this is kind of one of those moments where you know, I'm quite proud of them, and I wanted to show you them, but also update a few more people on the channel as well. So I don't actually know if you'll be able to see this. So if I just switch that over to this one, there we go. Ryan POV. Yeah. Right. So this is the River Creek I have. So this is what's going to be housing my dart frogs. I don't know if this is even clear enough to see properly because my poor internet connection. But this one here is, you know, like Massagravia, different types of tropical plants. But this has been running now for about 4 months. Initially, none of this moss was on the piece of wood or anything, so it's all kind of just grown right out. There's a few bits here, but it's all just kind of really booming now. So I am kind of really excited to get the frogs in here, but I've left it a little bit longer because I've noticed there was quite a big organic build-up in the soil from all the other things I added in there. So I mean that was bound to happen. But my multi-species tank is this one here, which is the one which houses my frogs, my stick insects, geckos, you know, ant colonies, all sorts of different things. Yeah, but this also has a frog in. He's called Alfred. He's just at the top there, perched on the glass. Don't know if you can see him, but yeah, most people like Alfred more than they like me, which is expected. He's super cute. But yeah, so there's a few there that I'm quite proud of. Oh, that was what I wanted to ask you. Fruit gnats. What would you suggest in terms of getting rid of fruit gnats? Because I have a horrible situation with fruit gnats at the moment. It was my fault. I was rushing trying to get soil, and I literally went past B&M's, and as I went past B&M's, I bought a bag of soil, which was just, it was a disaster. I ended up getting loads of fruit gnats. Is there anything you would suggest in terms of getting rid of gnats?
Nematodes, 100% scarid nematodes, I think they're called. You just water the affected areas. The nematodes then come out and then they sort of hunt on the gnat larvae, because the gnats only live for about a week, but in that time they breed like crazy. So, you know, you water your soil with this, and then within like a few weeks they will all go. You might need repeat waterings if it's like a particularly bad infestation, but I had a fairly bad one in my IKEA cabinet, and one watering was sufficient.
Oh wow, okay. And is that safe for like other animals as well when you?
As far as I'm aware, but you would have to do your own research there, because at that time I only really had springtails in the builds that I used it on.
Right, okay. And I'm assuming they were absolutely fine for springtails.
Yeah, no issues at all. They only hunt the gnat larvae.
Yeah, right, okay. And then Jazz is saying, can you put those in with snails as well? But I assume that yes, because like I say, if they're only hunting gnat larvae, then they'll I'm pretty sure they'll be absolutely fine.
I would ask the suppliers for sure.
What was that? Sorry.
Ask the suppliers for sure.
Yeah. Right. Okay. No, definitely. I'll just have to do some research on that. I thought I'd quickly ask her and see. Planning on buying anything at Ancon? I'm not, Elijah. I'm not planning on buying anything while I'm there, and because I don't use acrylic nests like most people do in the hobby, it would be pretty pointless for me to buy an acrylic nest. Really, I only ever really make bioactive builds for them. I'm trying to create like mini biotopes. So for me, no. I mean, I might get a few species while I'm there, but again, I'm limited on space. Every tank that I have at the moment is already got a plan for what I'll be putting into it. So I can't keep changing my ideas, because that's when I start to get myself way too confused. But yeah. So we've got, I'll check this chat here because this one's a little bit slower. You can buy me for a good deal. I'm not too sure if everyone's. To be fair, the chat's been quite mild because normally everyone starts to get really perverted after 8 o'clock. If we go live beforehand, after like 8, everyone just starts to get really, really crude. So, I'm glad people are being a little bit more PC. Oh, the fight over happy is still going on. Yeah, so everyone's always saying, anyway, I won't go into it. There's no other questions. There's no other questions at all. So, Andy Matters is saying about predatory mites may help, but they definitely don't. I do have predatory mites, and they're also in the tub that I've got with my springtails in, which I use to feed them. So they don't help with them at all. So I don't think they do help. I think it's mainly soil mites that they get rid of, the predatory ones, or phoretic mites or parasitic. They're just mainly for those. Best behavior, everyone. Yeah, we were told to behave. Yeah. I was like, I've got him coming on my channel. No one be perverted. We had to create a separate channel on my Discord server called Adults Only, because in the normal chat where there's like quite different or younger people, we were like, we have to create something separate because people were getting a little bit not very PC on there. There's no fight. He's mine. Do something and try to fly hours for them. Okay. Have either of you kept giant African snails? Have you ever kept giant African snails?
I have not. No.
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 I mean, is there anything like that? Not frogs, and obviously you wouldn't be too keen. But is there anything else that you would like to keep that maybe you don't have the space for, or you haven't done enough research behind it yet? Is there anything else like that you would love to keep?
I'd love to get a Pygmy Chameleon, just because they're super cute. But I know that they're like super hard to get hold of, and breeding them is quite difficult. So I don't really know too much about them. But if I had to pick one sort of creature I could keep, it would probably be a Pygmy Chameleon.
Okay, cool. And Sadie's also saying, is in terms of a cleanup crew, is there anything else you would suggest to use other than springtails?
To be honest, probably not. No. The red springtails are pretty cool. They're more interesting to look at. But I don't think anything else does that job as well as springtails do. I mean, I'm no expert on isopods, but they can eat your plants sometimes, whereas springtails, they won't do that. So I think nothing does springtail like springtail.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I mean, I've used things like earthworms before, or they're more ground-dwelling worms. But then I've also used the tiger. I always forget the name of them. And them worms, but they're more surface-dwelling. But when I keep them with things like ants, I can't really do that, because as soon as the smaller ones start to come to the surface, they just get picked off. So I learned that mistake. Keeping those with ants, they just pick them all off to the point where all the little ones just die, and then you're just left with all the big ones. And some will get through the net, but not very many at all, to be honest, which is unfortunate. But yeah, Phil's saying he's kept various species of giant African snails as well, which is pretty cool. I haven't kept them. I would like to keep them. Diana also has a chameleon. I've seen this chameleon actually. It's super cute. Yeah, there's no other questions there as well. Sorry, my chat's decided, so I'm just trying to read from here.
If there are no more questions, I might have to bounce fairly soon, if that's okay.
To be honest, that's absolutely. I was just about to say the same thing, to be honest, because I do have to do quite a few things. I've got some orders to pack for tomorrow, because I only post on Thursdays, you see. So, and then there's other things I have to do tonight as well in terms of maintenance now. So I kind of went from having like a few tanks to having my store, then having 40 species of isopods, 10 species of millipedes, and then kind of getting that into my schedule with having a 5-month-old daughter and everything else. I'm still really trying to get my head around all of it. So no, that's absolutely fine, honestly. So just before you go, is there anything else? It's been an awesome live. No, honestly, it's been great. And thank you very much for popping on. Honestly, it's been a pleasure, Ben. Yeah, Honestly, it really has, and your knowledge is second to none. So I'm hoping in future, if I need any advice, I can come and pester you a little bit.
Yeah, no problem, mate. You got that.
And everyone in chat as well, make sure you have subbed if you haven't yet. I think it's been dropped your channel about 5 or 6 times, so no doubt. Hopefully you've gained a few subs from that as well. Not like you need any more from me, because you're like huge compared to me. But I mean, every little helps, right? So, but yeah, and give both a follow, please. Yeah. So follow him on Instagram and TikTok. It has some awesome reels and shorts on there. That's predominantly, some great footage. And then also his YouTube, awesome footage on there as well. But the editing, again, is great. And knowledge is awesome. Been a great stream. I got orange spring trails due to the reel I saw. Oh, okay. So you saw his reel, and then he bought some. Ah, right. Okay, that's cool. That's good to know.
That's good to hear. I like doing that.
Yeah. I think Adam sent me a photo of them.
Yeah.
Beforehand, so I was just like, oh man. But I remember at the time I just got my isopods and things. I was like, I can't keep anything else. Just give me a little bit of time to get used to it. But yeah. So yeah, they are awesome. But we all love Ryan. Oh, thank you very much, Diana. But not honestly, it's been a pleasure, Ben. Is there anything you want to say just before you go?
Other than thank you very much for having me. No, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. And yeah,
yeah. Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure, mate.
Cool,
but
man. I'll catch up with you soon.
You too, mate. You too. We'll drop the chat down now, and then yeah. So I'll just end the stream.